Erich Segal, author of The Weeper Love Story, said today that only the emotional family baggage of the romantic hero in his novel was inspired by a young Al Gore. Mr. Segal knocked down recent reports, based on comments by the vice president, that Mr. Gore and his wife, Tipper, were the models for the young lovers in his 1970 book and the subsequent movie starring Ryan O'Neal and Ali MacGraw. Those reports were half true, Mr. Segal said. The character of the preppy Harvard hockey player Oliver Barrett IV was modeled on both Mr. Gore and his college roommate, the actor Tommy Lee Jones. But it was Mr. Jones who inspired the half of the character that was a sensitive stud, a macho athlete with the heart of a poet, Mr. Segal said. The author attributed to Mr. Gore only the character's controlling father and feeling that his family was pressuring him to follow in Dad's footsteps. Mr. Segal said he knew the two of them at Harvard when he was on sabbatical there in 1968, and knew Mrs. Gore as well. But the character of the cool, smart-mouthed Radcliffe musician, Ginny Cavallari, was in no way based on Mrs. Gore, Mr. Segal said, and the wild romance in the novel was not inspired by the couple. I did not draw a thing from Tipper, he said. I knew her only as Al's date. Mr. Segal said he had been befuddled by the report, which was published in Time magazine this week, and had called the vice president to find out what had happened. Mr. Gore told Mr. Segal that the whole thing was a misunderstanding. Then, Mr. Segal said, Mr. Gore told him, let's remember what happened. And, he said, it's important now. On Friday, in interviews with the New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd, a spokeswoman for Mr. Gore, Ginny Terzano, not only did not challenge the story but also confirmed that the novel was loosely based on the Gores. She also added some details, saying that the Gores and Mr. Jones had socialized with Mr. Segal when the three men lived in Dunster House at Harvard. When asked how Mr. Gore felt about the story, Mr. Terzano said he thought it was cute. And, asked why such an appealing fact had never come to light during his years of public life, Mr. Terzano said, because they're shy people, those Gores. They don't talk about themselves. But Mr. Terzano said today that Mr. Gore had not bothered to correct the story because he had more important things to do. She said that she simply had not checked with Mr. Gore about the story on Friday and had based the confirmation on his comment on the plane. Mr. Terzano said that she, and not the vice president, thought it was a cute story. I still do, she said.